I've tested 1,513 ads in the last 30 days, and I want to tell you some lessons that I've learned so that you can take it yourself and run more profitable ads. The first thing is going to be the more random shit you test, the better. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I already know it. The more random shit you test, the better. The reason that I say this is because you guys know my general philosophy around running ads, around media buying, around creatives. I like to do weird shit. I like to test things that I haven't seen anywhere. I'm not going and swiping every single fucking competitor. I'm not a huge fan of swiping in general. I've said this once, I'll say it again. My top performing ads almost exclusively have not been swipes. A swipe at best, at fucking best, you'll be number 2. And that's if you do everything perfectly. I don't do that. Well, I do it. But I don't do it a lot, and it's not ever my top performing ads. My top performing ads are the ones where I'm doing a lot of the testing. I see a lot of trends across a variety of creatives. I put all those winning variables together into one, and that one fucking prints. So, what's an example of like more random shit? Well, you guys are obviously all familiar with this concept of native image ads. Well, why do native image ads actually work? Well, the same reason that any native quote unquote advertising works is that it blends in with the feed. It's not designed to look like an ad, it's just designed to get people to stop scrolling as if it was posted from somebody's friend on their Facebook profile. And then you read the copy and you're persuaded and you click and blah, blah, blah. So that's the principle, right? If you're fucking 14 IQ, then all you can do is just what everybody else does. But if you have a little bit of extra brain power, more than 2 BBs in a fucking empty canister up here in between your 2 ears, if you have a little bit of brain power, you can take the principle instead of the strategy itself. The principle is testing things that are native, things that are completely unpolished, that look like it's native content that you consume the feed. So many of you guys probably have burner accounts, which is where you create an extra Facebook account or Instagram account, TikTok account. You go follow all the pages, all the people that your market is actually following, and then you intentionally doom scroll. How many of you motherfuckers are intentionally doom scrolling? You want to be a phenomenal advertiser? Doom scroll in the shoes of your customer. That'll make you an incredible fucking advertiser. And when you do this, you'll start to see more and more of this organic content, not the ads. Don't go look at the ads. Advertisers are stupid. You, me, we're pretty fucking retarded. Go look at the actual posts that you see in a feed as if it was a feed of your customer. And what you'll see is, pretty similar to how the native ad content was birthed. It's the same way, it's the same exact principle of how like the interview ads were birthed. The same principle with with fucking UGC. The same principles with podcast ads, with founder ads. Like all of these things are all pointing towards the same philosophy, the same principle. And the funny thing is, advertisers typically, you and me, really fucking slow. When you start to see a piece of organic content repeatedly, at least 3 times, that is now something that you can go and pull into your ad account and test. That's an example of random shit. Another example of random shit is fuck, you know what? Go to your favorite meta guru, whoever it is. It's not me. I'm not a guru. I'm definitely not your guru. I just run fucking ads. But go to somebody that is like a certified fucking meta ads coach, meta ads consultant. And go get their lead magnet, go opt in for their shit. Go look at some of their content. And then this is what I want you to do, okay? This is what I want you to do. So you're going to go and make a column like this. You're going to do a T chart. And you're going to take all the things that you find that they're telling you to do. So for example, 1 CBO, like super duper consolidation. 1 CBO. What are you going to do? You're going to go launch 10 CBOs tomorrow. Just an example. Do the exact opposite. How about what's another super meta gagging thing? I mean, all enhancements. All fucking creative enhancements. I can't fucking write. You get the idea. This one's pretty straightforward, but you already turned them all off. whatever you're doing, whatever the top people are telling you to do, just try doing the opposite and see what happens, because shit is going to fail no matter what. It's going to fail regardless. You may as well take some big fucking swings and get creative and see what happens, right? All right. So that's kind of the first. I could go so much deeper into this. Maybe I'll come back later. But this is the first speech. Just test random shit that maybe, quote unquote, like doesn't work anymore. Maybe it's like some old actually, you know what you guys could fucking do? Oh, I don't know if I want to. Nah, fuck it. I'll review it. There are some internet forums out there. I'll name one of them. And these internet forums are very, very old, which means you have people, legitimate OGs. I'm not an OG. Ty Lopez, Sam Ovens, they're not OGs. They're definitely not fucking. They may be OGs to you. The real OGs were the first guys to get started in internet marketing. The first ones. Which means it would happen around the inception of the internet. So that's going to be late 90s, early 2000s. Those are the true internet marketing OGs. I could name names you wouldn't even fucking know. Anyways, what you're going to do, because a lot of people say like, oh, that doesn't work anymore. Maybe it still does. In fact, I see us regressing to a full fucking circle moment, especially in media buying, where this whole manual strategy of media buying is working relatively well right now compared to like super mega consolidation. Just let Facebook do the heavy lifting for you. You're going to go to a forum. I'll name one, but there's others. If you know, you know. It's not very active anymore, but you can go on this website and you can search specific keywords, or you can sort by the oldest to the newest, and you'll find people that are posting in 2002, 2006, 2011, and talking about, holy shit, I just discovered this brand new strategy. It's working so well. Like, it's actually really cool just to like, you really feel the magic of the game when you go back and read that old shit. It's actually incredibly fucking motivating. It's super cool because these guys are these were literally trailblazers. Anyways, the name of this forum is the Warrior Forum. You can go and search the Warrior Forum. It's still around, but go look at the old ass post and try testing some of that shit. I don't think anybody has ever said anything like that before. All right, let's move on to the second point here. So point number 2 is going to be creative diversity is more important than creative volume. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Mark, you literally showed us a screenshot of one ad account with 1,500 ads in there. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I get that. But actively, we are making this adjustment across all of our accounts. What I mean by this adjustment is there comes a point where, all right, let me break this down real quick. The whole run more ads philosophy does not just mean test more creatives, doesn't mean run more shitty ads. What run more ads simply means is spend more fucking money. That's it. Like, run more ads. Yes, you should be testing more probably, but ultimately what matters, the ultimate leaderboard in the advertising game, the paid advertising game, is just spend. It's just ad spend. There's people that spend a lot more than me. I got a lot of fucking work to do. But there comes a point where you realize that is the number one indicator, really, of how well a particular brand is doing. And that's also how you can distinguish the fucking noobs, the Shopify and Facebook ads noobs, from the savages. Savages will always talk in terms of spend. How much are you spending? Now, noobs are always going to be like, well, what's the profit? Well, what's the ROAS? Shut the fuck up. Like, it's so incredibly narrow-minded to think that, like, you guys know the biggest brands out there, they don't have impressive ROAS, but they do have incredibly impressive LTV. Anyways, let's not go down that route. The point that I'm trying to make here is that if this is your creative volume as a line, and as time goes on, you continue to test more every single month. This is your monthly volume, right? This is the volume over here. So you're testing maybe 100 creatives, maybe 200 creatives, maybe 300 creatives. Just as time goes on, you continue to test more and more. Sounds great. And it is for a while, and it works for a while until it fucking doesn't. And when it doesn't, let's say you have another line, which is going to be your CAC. Your CAC is always going to be the smallest at the bottom. It's always going to be the smallest at the lowest level, at the lower levels of spend. The more that you spend, the more that your CAC is going to rise. Pretty standard fucking rule. So let's say it's about here. And it starts to trend up directly in correlation. Sorry, trend down is what I meant. Start to trend down directly in correlation with your creative testing volume. But there comes a point where it starts to increase again. I've never drawn this before, and I think I'm actually doing an insane job with this. Let me break this down. This line here is your CAC. You want this to be low. It's your cost per acquisition. You want this to be low. So seeing this green line go down and to the right is good. But this point right here, this point, this inflection point where your CAC reaches the lowest and then it starts to rise again, despite the increase in creative volume. What does that tell you? That you've reached the point where more creative volume does not improve your CAC. It doesn't decrease your CAC at all. And this happens to every single brand. This may happen to you spending probably not 1K per day, but let me do it in terms of creatives. Maybe it'll happen to you at like 20 creatives per week, maybe 50, maybe 500, maybe 1500. But it's going to happen. And at that point, you have to realize that there's something more important than volume, which is the diversity itself. And increasing the level of diversity is how you escape this mess. Because if you keep the level of diversity the same, then it's going to continue to reenact this scenario over and over and over again. You're just going to try to spam more volume. But then you start to produce fewer and fewer winning creatives. Fewer and fewer winning creatives are able to exit your testing campaign into one of your scaling campaigns. Or at least the proportion starts to drop. So creative diversity is one of those things where there's going to come a point where you have to sit back and be like, we're testing more creatives than ever, and it's not improving our performance. And the only way to combat that is with simply better creatives, but that's going to be done through diversity, not through volume. You guys following that? Good. Next fucking point. Okay. So point number 3 that I've learned running ads is the whole thing about AI. Now, AI is great, but AI also fucked every single one of us because it got too good too fast. And now what happens is the accessibility of AI and the information of how to produce AI creatives is virtually infinite. When something is infinite, it loses its value. When something has no scarcity, it loses its value. Scarcity creates value. Like the whole fundamental concept around Bitcoin was that there's only 21 million tokens. The very fact that it is limited and scarce in its supply is what gives it the value. Same thing with gold, with silver, with precious metals, with oils. There's only so much. It's a non-renewable resource. By definition, that gives it a lot of fucking value. So now what we have is AI with creatives as a commodity. It has less and less value, which means AI is not a moat anymore. At least if you halfway know what you're doing. Like there's so much information, there's so much shit out there, and there's a lot of bad advice on AI creatives, but that's another topic. But it's not going to be something that you can compete on because it just made making good creatives incredibly accessible to everybody, which means it's not something you can compete on. So what is the real thing that you can compete on? What is the real moat? And I think that the philosophy behind your creatives is the real moat. Because what's going to happen is if you can't compete on creative volume, there's only one other thing to compete on with your creatives if you decide to compete on creatives, which I think even that will go away. But if you're competing on creatives, you can't compete on volume, which means that's basically like quantity, right? What's the opposite of quantity? Well, it's quality. That's the only other lever you could possibly pull with your creatives. If there comes a point where you produce more and more creative and it's not producing an equal or proportionate number of winners, then this is no longer something that you can compete on. Which means the only thing that you can compete on is quality, aka diversity. And I actually, as somebody who knows direct response and has a big passion for it and loves learning about it, this is the greatest news for me. Because the bar is pretty low when it comes to entrepreneurs thinking. But if you can understand, this is why I always tell you guys, understand why ads work. The why. Pull out the winning variables. If you can't do that, if you can't understand why something is working with like an insane degree of clarity and confidence, you're just gonna keep falling into this bucket where you're like, shit, I just gotta test more ads, and all your ads are shit. It's just more shit. So I think the real moat moving forward, like creative volume, guys, like let me put this in perspective for you. Like, what Claude Code is like $200 a month. Like Claude Max fucking plan is $200 a month. Claude Code is, free with that plan with your OAuth. If you connect that to like one or two APIs, you can basically create unlimited creatives for very, very cheap. Very cheap. Now what? Everybody has access to this technology. What are you going to do now? You have to think. You have to use your fucking head. All right, let's move on to the next point, which is going to be all about the funnel. Funnels are amplifiers. And maybe even a better word for this would be funnels are multipliers. So I think I've said this in a video before, but it's such a fucking great analogy. I'm going to do it again. So if you have two kind of funnels that you're running, let's say this is going to be funnel A, and this could literally be like a new PDP or like a listicle versus an advertorial. It really doesn't matter. This is going to be funnel A. This is going to be funnel B. The reason I say funnels are multipliers is because of this. If you have all of your traffic right now going to one funnel, number one, that is a funnel risk. If that funnel dies, which creatives die, funnels die, everything dies. If it dies, you have nothing to fall back on. Like, if you haven't been running ads on Facebook for more than like a year, you should know you should have backups for everything. Backup ad accounts, pages, business managers, mids, backup Shopify stores, backup funnels, backup fucking everything. Nobody's safe. Now with funnel A, let's get real fucking creative here. I like to say that your funnel is like the ocean, right? It's like the tide of an ocean. This is your little ocean. And let's say down here is sea level, and you got your nice little boat right here. Now each one of these boats is a creative. Right? Each one of these boats is a creative. And what happens is not all of your boats are that good. Some of them are gonna fucking drown. Some of them are gonna float, and they're gonna be the best boats you've ever had. It's so reliable. They always perform. They're always there for you. This metaphor just keeps getting better, dude. I fucking love this. I'm fucking cooking. So yeah, your boats are your creatives. Let's say you, Anon, you got 3 winners, and then everything else down here is just going to be a bunch of losers. They sunk. Let's turn them upside down. All right, you got a bunch of losing creatives, and you have a bunch of winners. All right, so that's a total of 10 creatives. This is funnel A. You have 3 winners. You have 10. You're at a 30% win rate. Everything looks pretty decent. I mean, fuck, a 30% win rate is phenomenal, dude. 30% win rate. 30% wide receiver. All right. Now, let's go to funnel B, because everything looks pretty good here, but the more creatives that you test, it always falls into this allocation. 30% win and 70% lose. which is not a great example because it's a pretty fucking good win rate. Let me get rid of 2 of these boats. Actually, we're going to take these 2 and they're going to be sunk. All right, so you only have 1 winner. You're actually at a 10% win rate. That'll make this as a better example. 10% win rate, 1 out of 10. Cool. Now, let's move on to funnel B. Funnel B, same exact thing. You still have this tide. Let me start with this. You still got the seafloor down here. But now, the tide, it's not going to be right at this level. It's not going to be at the same level as funnel A. You know why? Because funnel B is better. It converts people. It either converts people higher or has a higher average order value or higher LTV, if you can project that far to know your LTV economics. So instead of being here, it's just a little bit higher right here. So that's the tide. Now, a rising tide raises all ships with it. A rising tide raises all ships with it. What does that mean? Well, now, instead of 1 creative, you actually do have 3 winners. 3 that are above the tide. 3 that are doing fantastic. They're scaling. You put more spend in them, they just keep fucking performing. More spend, more sales. More spend, more sales. Every single time. They're good fucking creatives. But you tested those exact same creatives on funnel A, and they're underwater. Now, you're still going to have some losers. That's okay. Still going to have some losers, but it's not nearly as many. Because now you actually are... This is incredible, bro. This is the best illustration that I've ever done in my life. You actually are now at a 30% win rate. Same exact creatives. All you did was change the funnel. So in the same way that you're doing creative testing, yes, creatives are important. You should also be doing funnel testing because it increases the velocity at which you can produce high-performing creatives. Does that fucking make sense? Because this is bro, look at this. This is crazy. All right, let's move on. So that's why I say funnels are multipliers, because they can help you make more winning creative. You're like, oh man, I've tested so many creatives. I just haven't been able to find any winners. Maybe the creatives aren't the problem. If you just had a better funnel, it'd be so much easier for you to find winning creatives. All right, next point, number 5. I don't know how many I'm going to be able to get to in this video, but number 5 is media buying is not nothing. I stand alone as the sole voice who continues to stand up for media buyers. All these guys saying that media buying is dead. You know, Manus can just do it all. Actually, technically speaking, like the functionality is totally there. Like you actually probably could do fully AI media buying, and I've built something very close to that. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it works. But it took so much time for me to build, and you have to have all the knowledge in the first place. It's not just like, you know, simple logic branches. It's much more substantial than that. But media buying is not nothing. Media buying can 100% improve the profitability of your creatives and funnels. There was a lot of people, especially like in the copywriting community. Shout out to all my copywriters, but there's always this ongoing debate of what is the allocation of importance of each of the variables in e-commerce. Like what percentage is the product? What percentage is the creatives? What percentage is the funnel? What percentage is the media buying? The thing is, most people that have never bought media once in their life, they're going to say media buying is like this tiny little fucking sliver right here. There's like, it's basically nothing, just fucking, you know, broad CBO, throw all the creatives in there, good luck. And yeah, that is like the bare minimum. Like, yeah, you can do that and you can still be successful with it if everything else here is fucking dialed. If you have a good product, great creatives, and a great funnel, yeah, you probably can do jack shit in your ad account and print. But you could print so much more. if you are more intentional about your media buying. So in reality, where I would probably put media buying is right about here. It's roughly 20%. Yeah, it's about 20%. That's going to be media buying. And then product, I would say is like this much. I don't know. I guess that'd be 10% product. And then creatives, I would do probably something like this. What is up? This isn't me being retarded, bro. My mouse or something is fucked. Whatever. Bro. There we go. So it's really more something like that. Media buying is not nothing. You can 100% improve your results, decrease your CAC simply through better media buying. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody that tells you that that's not possible has never been a media buyer. All right. I like all my media buyers, man. Anyways. Maybe I'll do a video sometime on media buying strategies. Definitely more some advanced stuff. Like I will say this is most true to people spending over 1K per day. If you're spending like a few $100 per day, $500 per day, it's not going to provide a huge lift for you. Like there, you definitely should focus creatives funnel. Product just has to be something proven. It's really like something proven with good margins. You're chilling. But once you start spending more, 100% it can provide a lift. All right, let's move on. This is a pretty small one, but split testing. Split testing is a no on the first page. Now, let me be very clear here because the terminology really matters. When I say split test, what I mean is using some sort of split testing software or doing it directly within Shopify or Funnelish or Checkout Champ, where you dilute the traffic, or you rather branch the traffic, say like 50-50, one to a variation, one to the control, right? Split testing 101. That's what I mean by split testing in this context. If you are running ads on Facebook, and this is like the ad here, running nice little video ad, people click, cool, nice little CTA button, people click, then they go to, you're running a listicle, let's say. So you're running this listicle. Don't do split testing on the first page. This one, this page right here, listicle page, that's the first page you're driving traffic to post click. Don't split test here. There's really only like one way to do this without fucking up your existing shit. Okay, so the reason you don't split test on the first page is because Facebook is always scanning your landers. And the number one thing that Facebook hates the most is people changing shit after it's already been approved. So your ad has been approved, and then you go change the lander after that. Facebook sometimes can view this in one of two ways. The bad way is they view this as cloaking. They think that you're trying to circumvent their policies by getting an ad approved and then changing it to something non-compliant. Not good. The second thing is more of like a soft rejection or like a soft penalty or flag, you could say. And that's where if you're running traffic to, like, this is the control and this is the variation. What happens when you split test on that first page is that both of these get fucked. The control immediately starts to perform worse. Weird. And the variation, it could even be beating the control, but the control just fell off a fucking cliff. So I hope it's beating it. Maybe it's not even beating it, and then it's like a lose-lose. The best way that I found this to be true is that I ran so many split tests on the, actually, I didn't do this a lot. I always believed it, but I never proved it until I ran a test on it. And the test was a few different split tests of the very first page. But the most obvious example was I actually did run a split test to a listicle. It was 50-50 split, and I made some copy related changes, different headline, subheadline, and lead. That's what I did. Now, what happened when I ran this test? The control, it definitely declined in performance. Overall, the performance was not good. It declined maybe about 20%. So immediately, what was working is now not working as well, which fucking sucks. Now, what was interesting is that the variation, this one, was even worse. This one was like minus 50%. I was like, holy shit, this page is such a fucking loser. I'm calling off this test even before we've hit StatSig. Fuck it. This page I thought was so good, clearly, according to data, is now shitting the bed. And so I cut the page and I moved 100% of the traffic back over here. But then I was like, wait, I really felt like that page was going to win. Like, I don't always know if stuff is going to do well, but I really felt like that page was good. And so what did I do? Well, I split tested the right way, which is new post IDs. I don't care if you do it in just a new ad set or just new ads or in an entirely new campaign, but you're going to keep everything the same, all the same winning creatives. Yes, you'll be in a slightly different pocket of traffic. At least you don't fuck your results that were working in the first place, all right? Usually that's the number one rule of media buying. Don't touch anything that's working. So you're going to do new post IDs. I typically do in a new ad set or an entirely new campaign. But this is what happened. I was telling you about the story, right? I did a split test. The variation shits the bed. It does terrible. And then I'm like, okay, I move all the traffic over. I give it a few days to stabilize. And then I retest it using new post IDs instead. And what happened? Well, that listicle went from being something that was so incredibly unprofitable to not only beating the control, but to replacing the control and spending over $400,000 in the next 60 days. In spend. It was one of the fastest funnels that I have scaled in my in my ad career. Actually, that's not true, but it was up there. We spent a lot really quickly. How is that possible? How is it possible that I could test it using, trying to control the variables using the same post IDs, and it totally fucking shits the bed, and then I test it using new post IDs in a new campaign, and not only does it destroy the control, it destroys every funnel that we've ran at that level of spend. Isn't that interesting? I think so. I thought it was fascinating, and it's not the first time that has happened. But generally, that's why I say split testing, generally, a no-no on the first page. All right, let's move on to number 7. Man, I can't believe I tell you guys some of this shit for free. I don't know anywhere else where you could find this information. Actually, I do know a place. My email list. If you want to join, just click the fucking link in the description. I don't remember which one it is, but it's down there. I've been more active on my email list recently, guys, and it's all me writing it. I write two per week. So if you want some more ad sauce, just click the link down there. You know where to find it. Okay. Number 7, why winning ads actually die. Why do they die? Well, every single creative lands somewhere on a scale, and the scale that it's not quite as it's not quite as compartmentalized as this, but I like to explain it this way because very, very relevant and trendy. It's like those tier lists. You guys have all seen those tier lists where you have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, right? Every creative on here is going to land somewhere on the spectrum. It's really a spectrum. Like, it's not necessarily, going to land in one of those boxes, but we're all on the spectrum anyways. Every creative will land on here somewhere. And the way that it works is there's one metric that correlates to where it's going to land. And that's simply your spend. How much are you able to spend? Typically, what you'll find is image ads are going to be limited in scale because you can produce them so quickly, but you don't have as much consumption from people. Even if you run a native static, you have fucking 2,000 words on your primary text. There's still going to be a limit there, and it's typically not going to be nearly as much as you could profitably spend on a video ad. So image ads are probably going to be up, maybe getting to the A tier, but really A tier and S tier are videos specifically. Okay. Not technically any of them could land either, but I'm just saying typically you'll find more videos up here and more images down here. But you can have way more of these winning images and fewer of the winning videos, so it ends up evening out. Every creative that you test has a limit, and it's limited to how much it can profitably spend. Some of them, actually, I'm gonna add another one down here, which is just the fucking trash. Some of them, they can't even spend your break-even point or your 2x your target CPA. Those are two pretty common metrics for testing new creatives. 1x break-even point, or you could even do like 1x contribution margin. So you test the creative. Let's say your break-even point is like $50. It spends 50, it doesn't get a sale. It's not even a winner. It wouldn't even get there. For me, I would want to see a creative spend at least like $500. So that'd be kind of like the first one. If you have something that can spend 500 profitably, cool, that's good. But is it going to spend, 1,000? Probably not. The next step would be around 1,000, and then it'll be around 10,000, and then it'll be 100,000, and then what the fuck? And then it'll be 1 million. So every creative, from the moment you create it and launch it in your ads manager, is going to land somewhere on the spectrum. Maybe you'll have 2 in here. You have maybe 1 up here. Probably going to have like 5 here. You're going to have 20 here. And you're going to have probably like 50 here. So it doesn't really answer the question, though. Why do winning ads actually die? Well, we know that every creative has a cap. But why do they actually die? Well, they die because they've hit the cap. But what most people don't realize is that there's things that you can do to increase the cap. And one of those things, for example, is like media buying. So let me give you an example. What the fuck is wrong with this mouse? I'm fine. I just gotta write really slowly. So how can you media buy your way to more profitable creatives? Well, if you have a winner and you have like one CBO, right? You have like this one CBO campaign. Let's say it's in this ad set. It's getting the majority of the spend, and it's like this creative right here. Eventually, there's going to come a point. Maybe it's at $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 to spend. That creative is going to fall way outside of KPI. The CAC just keeps increasing and increasing, and it's now way outside of your KPI. It's bringing down the overall performance of your account. So you have to cut it. If you cut an ad in one CBO, is that creative dead now? Is there nothing you can do to fucking revive it? There's a billion fucking things you could do to revive it, bro. A billion. Not even including like the variations and iterations of that creative. Like just media buying alone, there's so much that you can do. You can try new campaign structures. You can try new scaling strategies like triple duplication, 5x duplicates, buying method. You can try narrowing down. You can try new audiences. You can try grouping in specific groups of other creatives. Sometimes a creative will perform really well when it's grouped with like 5 other very specific creatives. Even though those other, 5 ads don't really get any spend, just the fact that they're there is improving the performance of that one. Like there's so much you can do media buying wise alone to do this. The next thing is like you can extract more with funnels. Like yes, that one creative died because it was going to one funnel. Did you ever test that one winning creative on other funnels? If no, you can squeeze more out of it. Absolutely. 3, you can just improve your economics. If you can only afford to pay $50 to acquire a customer, then you can never spend more than like $50 to acquire a customer on average and still be above your break-even point, let's say. But what if your break even point was 60? What if it was 70? Now every single creative has an additional little margin of safety, a little buffer zone to give it more life. Now there's a lot more I could say here for why they actually die, but there's just so much more that you can do. Um, the only thing that really indicates a creative dying is you exhaust all of these options and you still don't get a creative within your target CAC. But a lot of times in this example, like it'll die here. You test in some new campaign structures, new audiences, new creative groupings, and boom, it's back to being your top performing account. Or you take that one creative with some other top performers and test in a new funnel, boom, you just unlocked another 6 figures of profitable spend with that creative. Or you just improve your economics in as a whole for that particular product. Maybe you're reducing your cogs, maybe you're getting better shipping lines, whatever it is. If you can spend more to acquire a customer, maybe it's just charging more, increasing your price. Okay, last one that I have here. It's a pretty quick one, and then I'll do a little Q&A. And it's simply to take bigger swings. So this is true of split testing. This is true of new funnels, of new creatives, of anything new that you're testing. Just take bigger swings. Best example of this would actually be split testing. If you're running, like, let's take that same example. You're running traffic to a listicle, right? Running traffic to a listicle, any page that you're testing, the biggest needle mover typically is going to be whatever is above the fold, which is going to be the headline, subheadline, that first image. Let's say you try testing a new headline. Is that a big swing? Well, if you're spending like 100K a day and you test a new headline and it gets like a 50 cent higher EPC, that's really valuable. But if you're spending a few $100 a day, even like $1,000 a day, that's not a big swing. Or like just changing the image above the fold, that's not a big swing. A big swing, changing fucking everything. Like, as much as I'm a total scientific method kind of guy, business is not perfect. And a lot of times, especially if your business isn't doing well, you going and testing like the headline or like the hook of a new creative, you got to test bigger fucking shit. Entirely new structure pages, different funnel architectures altogether, entirely new creative formats that you haven't seen anywhere on the internet. Just new shit, new shit, new shit. Take big fucking swings. All right, guys, that's going to be it for my yap session. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let's open it up into Q&A. Did everything make sense here, by the way? I kind of just went through a lot, but that was low-key fun, and I'm still so impressed with all this writing I did. Man, I mean, look at this, bro. Who the fuck does this, you know? Who the fuck explains shit like this? Nobody. And this, I was in my Miro Duffy, bro. Fuck. All right, if you spam the chat, you'll probably get banned, and I'm definitely not answering your bitch ass question now. Um, cool. Let's see who we got first. NS Themanok. Mark, I've been doing dropshipping USA for 6 months, not 1K day or even close. Max rev day was 130. Am I cooked? What type of fucking question is that, bro? What do you want me to tell you? No, you're not cooked. You're only cooked when you give up, bro. Until death, all failure is psychological. So the real question is, how big are your balls? You know that. Yeah, fuck it. We'll run with that. Next question. What do I do when I genuinely don't have enough capital to be spending more than $50 per day? Just go organic, man. Go organic. Simple as that. Organic is definitely not dead. The only limit is your creativity. If you're good at making content, even if you're not, it's a skill like anything else, and you can 100% get good at it. You just have to do a shitload of reps, just like anything else. Mark, can you also post fitness content / share your diet routine? I'm not gonna post any fitness content to my Mark Builds Brands YouTube or anything like that. Um, Fitness at this stage is a pretty personal thing to me. I have a pretty unconventional training strategy, um, especially more recently, but I fucking love it, and I think it's the reason that I look and feel the way that I do. Does it make sense to test new ads in a new funnel instead of running to PDP? My PDP doesn't convert well on paid. Skill issue or more education needed after the ad? Depends on the ad, bro. That's a fucking amazing question, by the way. Shout out to you, Mastering Media official. Great question. If you're running to a PDP, like PDPs still work. They can still work incredibly well. If your PDP is not converting, it's either going to be an ad or a lander issue, naturally. You want to look at your ads and make sure that you're attracting the best quality traffic you possibly can. For example, doing something like native ads where you have to force so much consumption, you can't even force it. You just hope that they consume all of your sales message and the primary text and then go to a PDP. That's challenging. It's possible, but it's challenging. But if you look at your ads and they're all getting all the way down to the product and selling the product, it's likely not an ad issue as long as your ads are within KPI. It's more likely a funnel issue, in which case I would start testing drastically different structures for PDPs. I don't know how much you're spending, but if you don't get a PDP to convert, I would say that is a skill issue. Yeah. But it's not only the skill of PDP development, it's also a skill of the ads. Because if you're super duper intentional with only driving basically like bottom of funnel traffic, and what I mean by that is like top of funnel ads, but it's not like teasing the click, it's not getting curiosity click. You're selling the fucking product in the video, and that's driving to a PDP, then yeah, it's a skill issue. So whether or not more education is needed is dependent on the creatives that you're running. If you're running these really high curiosity creatives like native statics or like short form AI UGC videos where the product isn't even mentioned, you definitely need more education. You need a longer, more indirect funnel architecture like an advertorial or a VSL to convert them. Great question though, dude. Shout out to you. All right, guys, I'm gonna do one or two more questions. Should I create funnels on Wix? Um, probably not. I don't see why you do that. Like you can build vibe coded landers, pre-landers really easily, and you can make PDPs directly within Shopify. Or there's just templates on Funnelish that you can build if you want to use Funnelish. Wix would probably not be in my top 3 if I was building a funnel. It would definitely not actually, but okay, I think there's 2 good questions here, so let me answer both of them. You said test more funnels. What do you mean exactly? Simply more landing pages like quiz, comparison, listicle? Yes. And also like your PDP or your sales page, continue to do testing there as well. When I say new funnel, I typically mean the full funnel, but I would also consider like a new funnel, just like a new advertorial or a new listicle going to the same sales page. Technically, you're only testing one page, but it's a new funnel. All right, last question. At what point did you decide creative? Do you decide a creative is truly dead versus just suffering from audience fatigue? What's the difference? Like if it's audience fatigue, you're pretty limited on Facebook now with audience stuff in general. Like I suppose you could test. Actually, I would recommend testing some broad interest or interest stack with your top performing creatives. Like people don't use interest at all anymore. Sometimes they can do well, man. Lookalikes almost never do well in my experience for ecom specifically, but you could test some of those. You know, test your customer list lookalike and see how that does. Start with the top performing ones and just see how they go, because if those don't work, then the more middle and test the more bottom funnels. The more middle and top of funnel ones are not going to prove to be any better. So all right, guys, thank you so much for being here for this live. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I will keep this live up for now. And if this was helpful, as I say, I do a lot of shit inside of BBA. Brand Builders Academy is my mentorship program. If you ever want to join, you can click the first link in the description. Also, make sure that you're on my email list. I think it's also in the description somewhere down at the bottom. Other than that, let's cue the outro. Well, damn, I need some new music, bro. What are we feeling today? Oh, actually, I got one.
I'm just be from Cash, not from YouTube. 40 pointed sentence at my partner bezel. Do this shit for motivation, it ain't nothing better. I can see the demons lurking, I've been facing several. They can't touch the kids crazy and I know they hate it. Mary call me pillowcases, ho ain't nothing basic. Off I have is in, call that tunnel vision. I don't know you niggas, I can't insta kick it. If I ain't rap, I swear to God, one hand on Instagram. All that clout get no attention, but